Go ahead, Ian. I'm good.
Mute the mic.
Okay, welcome everybody. Once again, this is our little soiree, conspiracy or not, here we come. My name is Aaron. I'm joined as always with Ian and Amy, and tonight we have with us Rich Vanclaren. Hello everybody. Hello, Rich Vanclaren.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Rich.
It's Friday, it's September 1st, and as usual, it has been one hell of a week full of garbage and crap and media bullshit and distractions and whatnot. And we're going to jump right in. I've got a couple of things I want to get to, and but first I would like to start off with Rich Vanclaren, who to be honest with you, I'm not real familiar with this person. Been checking out his channel lately. Got a couple of interesting things. He wanted to come and talk to us, particularly about a couple of things involving Pulse nightclub. And he's just going to hang out with us tonight. We'll have us a good old conversation like we always do. So, Rich, do us a favor. Give us a little bit of a rundown. Give us your own bio or whatever. Just tell us who you are, what you're about, how you got started, and take it from here, Rich.
Okay. So, I'm going to start from when I watched the towers fall on TV. And I'm going to start from there. I saw them tumble, and I couldn't believe it. I thought that, two thoughts were on my mind. One is that those buildings must be made out of toothpicks. And the other thought that was on my mind is, how could this possibly happen with our $1 trillion defense system? So those two thoughts were on my mind. And then after that, I forgot about it. I just kind of went on with my life. And till 10 years later, I was just browsing the net, and I came across a video called Press for Truth about the women, the widows who got the 911 investigation going. And with the internet being connected, I just started seeing all this stuff online. The programs with the Loose Change and One, and just blown away, absolutely blown away by the I haven't been able to watch fiction since, because it's just too unbelievable, the video coming out of there, what happened. So I just got interested in it and started seeing things, and had to learn how to make videos to express the things that I was seeing. I think one of the first, PK Truth, I was very into PK Truth. He was an outstanding truth teller. I was very influenced by him. And so it took me, I heard George Bush tell a lie. He said, as soon as I saw the first plane crash, I went into action. And I knew that was a lie, because I saw him in that classroom with those kids sitting there for 15 minutes, even after the second plane hit. And that put me for some reason, that lie put me into shock for 3 days. And I thought that the whole 911 episode was not real. I thought I dreamt it. I thought it was in my dreams. And I was literally in shock, going from, and I slowly came out of it and was started off in one reality, and then it ended up in an entirely different reality.
Yes, I know how that could go. That goes.
And it showed me how hard it is to go from one reality to another, because I truly was in shock, you know. So I think that's the big barrier that we're, as a truther community, are faced with, is that psychological barrier, you know. So
Yep.
Okay, so 9/11 was your catalyst, as was mine. How did you get into, you know, to the point where you started a YouTube channel and you started to either doing your own investigations or, you know, sharing with the world whatever it is that's on your channel that you chose to start your channel for? When and how did you get started with that? What prompted you to start a YouTube channel?
I think it was about 2 years ago when I started my YouTube channel. And what caused me to do it was the Orlando massacre.
If you could call it that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
However, I call it the Orlando masquerade. So
Yes.
Quote unquote massacre.
I have three episodes so far of the Orlando masquerade. So
What do you mean 3 episodes?
well, I have part 1, part 2, part 3 in the Orlando.
Oh, you mean on your channel, you mean?
On my channel.
I
yeah.
got you.
And then I think I'm going for part 4. So so the first thing that I can think of right offhand is that that woman, Christine Linernin.
Yeah.
I saw her. I had been studying the Orlando thing, and I looked at one of a video from, God, I forget. It's in the. I'm sorry, I forget.
The Sandy Hook event.
Yeah, right. The Sandy Hook event. I spotted her at Sandy Hook, and so I thought, well, I have to make a video about that. And so, but prior to that, I noticed that there was no record of the Orlando shooting, and the Orange County logs. There's no record of it. In the police log. And so I tried to make a video, and that's what really started me making my first video. And I couldn't do a good job, and I was only able to make one, but I sent it to PK, and he redid it. And so that's what really got me started.
Did he bother giving you credit for it?
No, but it doesn't matter. I asked him to do it. I have no problem with that. So, yeah. To me, the credit doesn't matter. What matters is getting this truth out. Why?
Yep.
Because the reason I am doing it is because of my grandchildren. And these fake events are causing certain laws to be written that will affect their freedom. That's basically it. You know?
Absolutely.
We'll take their freedom away. That's what I see, and I think most of us see that. And if they were real events, then I could see, okay, we need to step up security. But if they're fake, there's no reason to do it, right? So
That makes it twice as bad, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, that's exactly how it works. The Hegelian dialect, we call it problem, reaction, solution. Very, very old concept, goes all the way back to the Romans, quite possibly before that. and you know, they want to create a sensation in the mind of the public so that they will readily accept whatever new laws that are in the pipe works, which, by the way, are planned before the event. And the event is to create the reaction in the public so that they then will acquiesce to whatever laws that are already in the plans.
They also not only just let people react, but they manage that reaction. That's
They manage the
now,
reaction, exactly.
Now they do, absolutely. Now
Yeah.
we have what we call manufactured consent. You know, with the media being completely locked down, they can come out and tell us, well, the polls show 80% of people support gun laws, when the fact is it's the opposite, or not even close to. Maybe just a few percentage. But the fact is that the media comes out and says it, and then everybody goes, well, I don't fucking know any better, because who the hell am I? I'm not doing polls. I'm not talking to a million people. So, you know, look, I've talked about this before on many occasions. I've got a video on my channel from John Taylor Gatto, who talks about education, how compulsory education was brought to this country, how it was brought from the Prussian system of compulsory education. And most importantly, and the reason I bring it up, is that the number one principle of compulsory education is to create a automatic and predictable response to authority. Okay. So, in other words, in the mind of the children who ultimately grow up to be the general public, they are programmed to respond to. That's the number one purpose for schooling, and I won't use the term education because that's not what it is. It's schooling, and the number one purpose is to create an automatic response to authority. So when you grow up to be an adult, how I view this, when in the mind of the adult masses, turn on the television, and then what do you hear is authorities say, officials say, official sources say.
Yes.
You know, we heard from authorities today, and they say blah, blah, blah. Well, that's part of why our education system is the way it is. It's part of mass mind control, so that in the event that anyone with a badge or anyone in any position of power with any title of quote unquote authority, they come out and they say anything, we bend over, we take it, we don't question it. It's just accepted. We've been programmed our whole lives like Pavlovian dogs to accept what authorities have to say, and that's the way it is.
Yep. They've got a system that unfortunately works for too many.
So in order to break the conditioning, it's a real task on our part. If you want to break the conditioning of someone who is not, you know, waking themselves up, like yourself, like us, like many people listening to the show, who have inquisitive minds, who have broken themselves out of the shell of programmed automatic response to authority, it's a real task for us.
Yes, indeed.
So, Rich, we asked you offline how old you are. Do you mind if I ask you again on air? How old are you?
55.
55?
Isn't that what you decided?
Well, you don't look a day over 20.
All right, 20 then. We'll go with 20. So, okay.
Okay. All right. It's okay if you don't want to tell us your age. We know we get the joke. It's an inside joke for those who are listening. Richard,
I'm 68, I think.
68. Okay. Thank you. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to get that out is because when I encounter people who are several years older than myself, and me, I'm in my mid-40s. So whenever I encounter people who are 50, 60, 70, when I get chatting with people who are older than me, I like to ask questions like, when was the last time in your entire life have you seen any president who has undone the workings of the previous president. Like, for instance, we had Bill Clinton. We had the Democrat Bill Clinton. Okay, Bill Clinton created NAFTA, among other things. George Bush, the Republican, comes along. Did he undo anything that Clinton did?
No, they're all in line.
And then Barack Obama, the Democrat, comes along after the Republican Bush. Did Barack Obama undo anything that Bush ever did?
No, I just reinforced it.
So for someone like you who is older than myself, going back in your recent, or your entire memory for that matter, has there ever been an instance ever in your life where one Republican undid the workings of the previous Democratic president, or vice versa? Ever?
I suppose you're talking about our current president, Mr. Trump, right? And certainly he has. But going back to answer your question, no. I think the last president we had may have been Kennedy, which I was alive for, and I think Trump is pretty revolutionary. Is that where you're going with this?
Actually, no. I just wanted to see. I just wanted you to affirm that, which is basically the same answer I get from everybody I talk to, and the answer is always no. That a Republican president does not undo the workings of the previous Democrat, and the Democrat president never undoes the workings of the previous Republican president.
Okay.
It's just a point that I try to make with some of the older people that I converse with on occasion.
Yeah, I've never seen it, really.
Okay, so you started your channel because of Pulse. Pulse was your motivation to get your channel going and to try to part of whatever we call this, loosely referred to as the truth movement. Okay, so what about some of the other events that we have seen in very recent times, particularly this year? We've had quite a lot of them.
That's right. We've seen the London Bridge. We've seen the latest one, Charlottesville.
We've just seen them one on top of the other.
Westminster, Brussels, Manchester, Sandy Hook, Boston bombing. I mean, you name it.
There were several in Australia, the Melbourne thing.
Nice. Brussels Airport, Turkey nightclub, the Bataclan, Charlie Hebdo.
Right.
Yeah, you name it. So you're on board with all these, the idea that all even the smaller events, and of course Nice and Charlie Hebdo, and these are big events comparatively. They're not 9/11 events, but something as simple and small as the Charlottesville riot, or excuse me, the Charlottesville protest. I just wanted to try to get an idea.
And I follow these things to some extent, but to me, Orlando, I concentrate on Orlando. It's because you have these events right after another. It's easy to forget the ones that came before, and now Orlando to me is exceptional for a couple of reasons. One is I've never seen so many liars and lies in one place, and it's just so blatant. And it's, after all, the biggest mass shooting in the United States in all American history, right? So I concentrate on that one. There's something about it that makes me feel that it holds the key. Maybe they all hold the key, but it holds the key to unraveling the rest of them. I appreciate people who follow each one of these events, but I'm pretty slow in the head, so I don't and I can't, as far as like making videos on them. I don't have the talent of some people spotting all the details that indicate that this is a false event. You know, I don't have that talent, but I can appreciate people who do. So, so my concentration is on Orlando.
Okay. So 9/11 was your, I guess, your trigger moment. Did you, how, you said you kind of went back to, for lack of a better term, you said you sort of went back to sleep after that. You noticed some weird things and then you just sort of brushed it off and went back to life. Well, at what point did you stop and start digging in your heels and really researching some of these things?
Well, I think before I actually researched, well, you know, that's a hard question to answer. Everything's a little bit flows together, you know. It's I don't think there was a point actually. It's the point I just mentioned earlier when I changed from one reality to another, you know, and I, one of my projects, an ongoing project, is writing a book called The New Reality, which is basically my experience of making that change, you know, and so I look around and a lot of people, my family and my good friends, are all in a reality that is entirely different from mine, and it's really weird. You know, I'm more in your reality, right, than them. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Right?
Oh yeah, I know. You sit there thinking, how can they not see this? And yet they don't.
Exactly. Yes, and it's a really important question. It's an important question. How can they not see this? You know.
Yes.
I had one person who commented on my video who said, and he was a psychologist. He was a group psychologist, and commented that when somebody trusts something, they don't want to admit that they've been betrayed by that thing.
Yes.
So you know, it's too hard for them to accept that they're being betrayed when they trust it, you know. So I thought that was a really interesting point. The psychology of it is I don't know, you know. It's the other point is how a lot of even us are asking the question, how do they keep this stuff secret, you know?
Well, I don't know. I think the keeping of it secret is not all that tough.
I agree. It's really not that tough.
It isn't. You know, you've got lots of money. You've got non-disclosure agreements.
You have people willing to kill.
And you have psychopaths. Absolutely.
You have people willing to kill.
And yep.
And they do kill. And they do kill. Yes.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar, Rich, with Ole Demigard or the likes of people like Chip Tatum. Ole Demigard is a world-class researcher into political assassinations and false flags.
Yes, I'm familiar with him.
Has become personal friends with. Now, I'm not necessarily a subscriber to the idea of whistleblowers, particularly CIA whistleblowers. I always have a huge reserve when I listen to what they have to say. But Ole's friend Chip Tatum, who is kind of well known in the research community, the conspiracy community, he describes it this way. He says, you got a group of people, like, for instance, you know, a room full of 20 or 30 or 50 crisis actors or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And
you take one of them out of the crowd and you kill him right in front of everybody. He says, that'll usually do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yep. Yep. People go, so, I don't want that to be me.
Does that happen? Does that happen?
You damn right it happens. Don't put it past them. I mean, I'm not saying this happens all the time, but you know, if you got a room full of people who may be questioning what you're about to do. You know, obviously they've been vetted, they've been interviewed, they've been hired. So chances are they're already the kind of people who will sign a non-disclosure agreement and stick to it simply because they put their signature on it, and that's enough. And then there are people who will accept, you know, whatever amount of money to keep quiet. And then there's the threat of, well, you'll lose your job, you might go to jail. And then there's the threat of, well, the intimidation factor of, well, you know, we're going to show up and kick your ass in front of your family. And then there's those who, on occasion, have to be made real examples of. And we are talking about a group of people running the world who are truly psychopaths, who don't mind. And after all, they are doing this largely to start wars, for instance, after 9/11, for instance, you know, these things. You look at the USS Liberty, you look at the Gulf of Tonkin. We've had false flags in our past that were specifically designed to create war fervor among the populace. So they certainly don't mind starting wars, going overseas, bombing and killing innocent people. So they don't mind killing people. So to pull one person out of a crowd and make an example of him in front of the others is a pretty powerful signal. So you know, this all comes back to the question of how do they keep it secret? How do they keep everybody from talking? Well, it's actually pretty easy. It's carrots and sticks. It starts with a good job, a good paycheck, or a GoFundMe account where you could be a crisis actor and you could pretend to lose a daughter, and oh, we have a GoFundMe account. Next thing you know, 100,000 gullible people are dropping money in your GoFundMe account. And by the way, in the case of GoFundMe accounts, it's a double bonus because it's also a mechanism for the powers that be to inject quite a large sum of money into the hands of these people very covertly. Anybody can make a donation. So as part of their contract, part of their hush money, part of their payment, besides the gullible people who donate money on a regular basis, there is also the agency who will drop 10,000, 100,000, $1 million into your GoFundMe account. So it's just another mechanism that they use. So it's really not that hard. It's really not that hard to keep people quiet.
And beyond that, I think that we find that there is truly in this nation, if not the whole world, a cultural factor. There's a cultural group of people who thrive on secrecy, and they have a covenant, between them, and it's this, and I think that culture is very large, and that when we see that these events with people with no whistleblowers, that is just the fringe of this culture, that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the culture goes into the CIA and the FBI and all these intelligence groups, they are among.
Okay, so what about other politics? Do you keep track of articles and politics around the world? And I understand you're living in Hawaii right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you follow much of the politics in the States? Do you follow politics in Europe?
I used to. They brought the sustainability stuff here, Agenda 21 stuff here, and I was very involved in trying to stop that. But I've kind of backed off because it seems kind of hopeless, So,
well, what's going on in Hawaii? I mean, I visited Hawaii. I vacationed there. It was some of the best money I ever spent. Tell me what's going on in Hawaii.
Well, I'm not going to. What I'd rather do is go over what the things that I'm not following it now, really. I'm not following it. So if I was following it, so I'd rather go into this mystery girl and see what people think about it.
All right.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, we can get into that. She's not. I mean, she's not the only one we're going to talk about when it comes.
That's fine with me.
No, I mean, on the note of.
Wait, hold on. Shoot.
Getting a Skype phone call. Okay, no problem.
So, I'm not really following on current events here. We have a political body here, which is pretty corrupt. So, but it's not to say it's entirely corrupt, but it is pretty frustrating to get anything done here. And most people,
Well,
a vast amount of the people are totally in the old reality, so they just don't understand what we understand, and so they're working in dealing with issues that we know the cause of. So they're dealing with, they're dealing with the contractors, let's say, but we know that it's Agenda 21, let's say. You know what I'm saying? So it's
So, I mean, can you give me an idea of what kind of stuff is going on politically in Hawaii, since you're there and everyone else is scattered throughout the world? I mean, I'm sure I personally am curious about what's going on in Hawaii, and we do like talking to people all over the world to get perspectives from different parts of the world from people who live in those areas. So, I mean, anything you could say would be enlightening to us.
okay. So one thing is that there is, here in Hawaii, we have Monsanto, who is grows seed for their crops here, and so there's that battle that's going on. There's protests against that, but they're of course very strong. They're on Oahu, they're on Molokai, they're here in Kauai where I'm at. So that's one issue. So it's like they're growing seed to plant, to the rest of the world should be interested in that. They're growing seed to plant in the rest of the world, so.
Are they using Hawaii as their laboratory?
Yeah.
Se? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. But they're using it mostly for producing seeds. That's at least from what I know.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's no secret about that. And what else is going on? There is a lot of people a lot of the rich people, the higher 1%, who are buying up big areas of land. What's his name with the Facebook that does Facebook?
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg just bought a big coastline here, and so this is a great place for those people to settle, and they're building their mansion.
Retirement homes or I mean, vacation homes, or just
Not vacation homes, they're mansions. They're compounds.
Their community.
Yeah, they're really compounds, and so they're huge land around them and high security. So,
Huh, interesting. Hawaii is a pretty isolated place. It'd be hard for, when the shit hits the fan, that'd be a good place for them to go. It'd certainly be hard for a lot of people to reach them at places like that.
I don't know. I don't know.
When the pitchforks and the torches come out, if I was rich, I would probably want to be somewhere isolated, somewhere way out, either underground, either deep underground, or 1,000 miles out in the ocean on a beautiful island would be a good place to be.
Yeah, I would prefer that to the deep underground. So,
well, it depends on what they pump our air and our planet full of, whether it would be better underground or above ground. I mean, if they fill it with disease and pestilence and other toxins and waste, who knows? Might be better underground.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I would rather be underground as well. But I at a certain point, it's like, what's the point of being alive? You know what I mean? So if it's come to that state where we really can't breathe, so I don't think we need to. Well, we'll all be underground,
Well, there's a couple of things that I wanted to point out. I'm going to do a screen share, and I want to check out an article or two pertaining to California. And since we don't have Ian to highlight my channel, if anybody has anything to say, feel free to speak up. But if you do, it will stop my screen share, and then it'll blink back and forth. It won't stay on me. Let me see, where did it go? There it is. So if you guys haven't heard about this, California has actually passed a bill called environmental justice, having something to do with what they call environmental justice. This particular article here, California lawmakers passed a landmark climate change bill, and environmental groups aren't happy. California passes a bill Monday extending its successful cap and trade program to limit greenhouse gases. Environmental groups are divided over the bill, blah, 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 blah. Business Insider spoke with an environmental group about their concerns before Brown signs it into law. Let me see here. Pardon me if I'm slightly behind the gun on my preparation on this particular bill, on this article. I got this from Grindall 61. This environmental justice bill that they just passed it's a wealth redistribution bill. Basically, to be quite honest with you, it's a tax on white people, to be honest. That's really what this boils down to. When certain areas are, in California, they have what they call sanctuary cities, right? And they have these areas that are predominantly Hispanic, and they have these areas that are predominantly Asian and predominantly Indian, kind of like New York has little Chinatowns, stuff like that. And then the white people, the affluent people who can afford it, they move out. And then all that's left are the minority groups who are left behind in these areas. And then similar things happen with businesses. Getting a Skype call there, another one?
Yeah, let me turn Skype off completely.
That might be the better idea.
Yeah, so, so affluent people will move out, businesses will move out. And then the social justice warriors will complain that there's no jobs, and then ultimately, look, the bottom line is this: that they are going to tax the rest of California because there are these areas that are predominantly minority areas, and ultimately somewhat impoverished, right? Businesses don't want to move into these areas. They become black areas, brown areas, Asian areas. And these groups, particularly the ones that are immigrant type groups who don't want to assimilate. They don't want to learn language. They don't want to mingle and commingle with the population that they moved to, for instance, American population, if you moved from Asia, for instance. And, so I would urge people to go over to Grindall 61. He's got a pretty good video on this subject, breaks it down pretty well here. Says California created its cap and trade program in 2013 and quickly turned the state into the second largest carbon market after the European Union. The program has successfully helped California reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. I call bullshit on that one, far surpassing the rest of the country. While environmental groups largely support cap and trade programs as a way to fight climate change, many have issues with this bill because they say it increases industry handouts. Because it increases industry handouts, was heavily influenced by oil lobbyists, and doesn't ratchet up efforts to stop global warming fast enough. So let's see.
What can I say? This is insane. That's what I can say.
Let's see. The bill allows energy producers to claim tax break, but it's vaguely worded. So energy producers that the Sierra Club doesn't consider clean, like biomass, could be included. The bill also gets rid of a fire fee that funded fire prevention in mostly rural areas, which many Republicans and people living in those areas opposed. Big surprise there. I want to try to find the part of this article, and I may not even be on the absolute correct article that I wanted to begin with. Again, I'm a little behind the gun on preparation on this topic. I wanted to try to find the part, Environmental Justice Alliance. Here we go. While the bill extended California's cap and trade program, it actually increases industry handouts. According to Amy Vanderwalker, co-director of California Environmental Justice Alliance, Vanderwalker said the oil industry allowances hinder our ability to achieve on-the-ground greenhouse gas emissions reductions. Go ahead, Amy.
I just want to say I don't know whether Ian left Rich.
I think he left.
No, I mean he left him with Rich highlighted. So, because the only thing that's coming through on the
so I'm not screen sharing at all right now?
Well, you're screen sharing to us here in the Hangout, but what they see on the actual screen is what Rich has on his screen.
What do I have on my screen?
Well, I see, not much.
I see.
Yeah, we'll see that in the Hangout, but what they're seeing out on the YouTube channel is just sort of a fuzzy white thing and a little bit of a space on the side, and that's it.
Oh.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. I'm checking the live broadcast on Ian's channel right now. I see what you're talking about, Amy.
I've turned my camera off.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, my screen share.
That's not going to help. Turning off your cam. What that will do is just put the blank thing there.
Yeah.
Because Ian left you highlighted, which means your input will be seen on the channel.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm covering the camera.
Well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. That's not the issue, Rich. It's Ian has you highlighted, and so visually, the only thing anybody can see is what's coming out of your camera right now.
Well, so it says they can't see your.
Yeah, my screen shares. It's not working. And by the way,
I'm sorry, I have nothing to do with that. So
No,
that's not you at all. And by the way, for everybody listening, Ian has some family in town, and that's why he basically. Here's the thing: he is hosting the show because I have a strike. Amy has a strike, and so we can't live stream we're both in the penalty box. So Ian is hosting the show, and then he's got family in town, and he had to leave. And so right now it's just us. Ian is actually not with us, and yet he's actually hosting the show right now. So he turned on the broadcast, and then he had to leave. So for anyone watching, this is what's happening for us right now.
Okay, my cam's blurred out.
Yes,
Yeah,
ladies, we've got both, each got a community guideline strike. They were both bogus, but when you go to appeal, they're set to auto reject, and no matter what you do trying to get in touch with YouTube, nobody responds. Nobody acts as if you bothered to say anything. The strike remains, and that's that. It's pathetic, is what it is. It's YouTube's.
Yeah, our strikes were for bullying and harassment, both of us, for different videos. Amy's was particularly bogus. That was actually our Sidethorn interview. And,
Yep.
And for some reason, my channel upload. I hosted that show, I think, and it's fine. Ian's is fine, but Amy, who also, I'll host, and Amy and Ian will mirror the show after it uploads.
Yeah, I just mirrored the show, and I got a community guideline strike for bullying and harassing. It's like, yeah, I'm such a bully and harasser.
That's the exact strike I got for bullying.
Yeah,
and I admit that I'm a bully, for when it comes to protecting or trying to keep our grandchildren from being imprisoned by deep state.
Yeah. Oh, well, I wouldn't call me.
I'm happy to be a bully if I have any part of stopping that.
I wouldn't call it bullying, but just determined to make it better. I think there's a difference. Bullying is more motivated by power over others, and that's not what's motivating us. What's motivating us is a desire to create a better universe for everyone than the psychopaths are creating.
Yeah, well, the video that I posted could actually be considered bullying or harassing because I was actually making fun of one of the characters who showed up in the gosh, I forget which town it was. There's been so many. It was the hospital shooting. Was that the Bronx hospital? Amy, help me out. Was it the Bronx hospital shooting?
There's been so many. I've gotten them all confused. Huh?
I know. Well, anyway, they interviewed some black guy on the street, and his wife was a nurse who worked in the hospital, and I guess she was still inside during lockdown. And they interviewed this black guy, and the female reporter asked him, "So what does your wife do?" And he said, "She had bacillitations." And nobody.
Yeah, I remember that interview. I don't remember specifically which.
Yeah, nobody could understand what he was saying.
He said, "What?"
Nobody could understand what he was saying, and I made a video making fun of the guy with the way he talked, and I spliced in some scenes from Airplane. The black guys and the stewardess, and they're
speaking jive.
Yeah, yes. She doesn't understand, and so I spliced in scenes and was just having fun with it. And I got a bullying and harassment strike on that one.
And it doesn't take much to be a bully these days. Yeah.
Not according to YouTube, at any rate.
Yeah,
you can't be funny and humorous, obviously.
God forbid you make fun of the way somebody talks. We can't have any of that.
Yep.
Well, look at YouTube shutting everybody down. That's not bullying, though, isn't it?
Oh, not at all.
Don't say this, don't say that. That's not bullying. No.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
I mean, it's just so ironic that you get bullying and harassing for videos that don't bully or harass. I mean, what?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's getting them, you know. Even
Yep.
even Sean SGT got a strike, and PK was shut down, and even from Death to Life.
Yeah, I
Yep.
heard Death to Life got shut down.
Yeah, so he started.
He's
a new
back
channel.
up again. He's
Yeah, he
got a new channel.
Yeah, he's got a new channel.
And he's working. Apparently he's working on a platform
That's
that
right.
YouTube and is specifically geared towards have their say, as long as it's not slanderous. You know, I mean, if you lie about somebody, that's not cool. But other than that, your opinion is your opinion.
Hey, Mark's in the house.
Awesome. Hey, Mark.
What's up, Mark? Okay, so you guys are familiar with the transgender movement, I'm sure. There's what I'd like to do now is I want to play you a clip from. I have to get a fresh tab open. Pardon me, it's going to take a second. Hang on just a second here. I want to play you a clip or two. One of them I want to play from a channel called Bearing, Australian guy he usually uses his channel to pound the shit out of the social justice warrior type people. And occasionally he'll tackle something political. And in a moment, I'm going to try to pull up his channel while I'm talking to you guys. There's a video that he put up just recently that I thought was worth sharing. California moves to jail people who use the wrong pronoun. And if I'm not mistaken, this bill is already passed in Canada.
Oh, heard about that.
Yeah.
Blue Blood Jay is and Mark are both in Canada, and they can they can affirm or deny the truth of that. I'm pretty sure that they've already passed laws making it illegal to to jail people, to make it to jail people for using the wrong pronouns. Obviously, my screen share isn't going to work very well, but that's okay because there's really not much to see, and even if there was, it's only going to be my tiny little avatar. But I will. Oh shit! I was screen sharing already. I'm going to go ahead and screen share anyway.
You gonna try it again?
Well, again, it's just going to be my tiny little icon. So there's
Yeah,
really
we'll be able to see it here in the Hangout, but the people.
I can see it. I can see it fine.
Yeah,
Nobody can.
in the Hangout we can see it, but if we go to the show on Ian's channel, we still see you. And someone said something about your camera, which I don't know what that was about. But I guess you're kind of blurry.
Yeah, I'm blurred out. Sorry.
Okay, well, you guys let me know if you can hear this, and if you can't hear it clearly, say so. And I just want to play this for a few minutes, and just check this out. And his social commentary is very good. It's also salty and humorous. So check this out.
California moves to jail people who use the wrong pronoun. Caretakers who insist on misgendering patients could face a year in jail. California legislators are set to vote this week on a bill that could criminalise using the wrong pronoun to refer to a transgender individual. The bill, which passed the California State Senate in May, has moved into the California State Assembly as part of a slew of gender-based anti-discrimination laws designed to protect California residents who don't believe they fall into the gender binary. Doesn't this just hammer home the plague proportions of pure mental retardation being spewed out of the regressive left at the moment? Laws designed to protect California residents who don't believe they fall into the gender binary. They shouldn't be making moves to criminalise any speech like this, but seeing as they are, you'd think they'd have started with laws designed to protect California residents who don't believe they fall into the fucking Nazi spectrum or the racist white supremacy binary. I mean, it's these types of motherfuckers who want to send people to prison for calling he a she or she a he or fucking they a zer that'll flippantly label you a Nazi, a racist or a white supremacist if you don't wholeheartedly subscribe to their worldview, obediently and absolutely. And being labelled a Nazi, a racist or a white supremacist can have real life consequences. People lose jobs, get kicked out of colleges and have their reputations dragged through the mud. But of course, that's nothing compared with the hurt feelings that come with being misgendered. Fucking fuck off. According to law professor Eugene Volokh, the law itself seems too vague, and it's likely California wouldn't strictly interpret the law and limit their enforcement to nursing home caretakers only. It's pretty unlikely that if the law is enacted, such prohibitions would be limited to just this scenario, he told the National Review. Of course they wouldn't. It'd be nursing and medical carers, then positions of authority like policemen and teachers, then public employees, then business operators and private employees, and before you know it, Joe Public. Titled the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual and Transgender Long-Term Care Facility Residents' Bill of Rights, the new law would allow transgender individuals living in care facilities like nursing homes to use bathrooms in line with their preferred gender, not necessarily their biological gender, and would punish any caregiver who knowingly uses the wrong gender pronoun to refer to one of their patients. Use he instead of she and you could face a $1,000 fine and up to 1 year in jail for gender-based discrimination and harassment. The law, which says knowingly, does not seem to identify any specific standard, leaving interpretation of motive up to authorities. Look, I'm certainly not against using people's preferred pronouns. I mean, the Z and they ones might get a bit confusing, but I've certainly got no issue with using he and she as people wish. It's just the polite thing to do. Just like it's polite not to call someone a whinging retarded cunt. But I'm fucked if I'd support a law against calling someone a whinging retarded cunt. So I'm fucked if I'd support a law against misgendering someone. If I lived in California, I'd be kicking up a massive stink about this. Tucker Carlson had a painfully frustrating conversation with Robin Byro, a Democratic strategist from California, about this proposed new law.
Let's be fair that I think you're cherry picking because this bill is not just about transgender use of pronouns and all that. It's about all of LGBT rights being included in the patient's Bill of Rights.
So I'm sure there are lots of things I would agree with in the bill. And just to be totally clear, I think you should call people what they want to be called. You know, I mean, sure. I think you should be polite to people, and I try to be. But there's a principle at stake here that you're ignoring for political reasons, and I'm a little surprised that you are. And that is a really simple one. It's called free speech, and you have the right to express your view. And if other people don't like it, they don't like it. But you can't be put in prison for saying what you think is true. And this bill seems to ignore that long-standing right that we've enjoyed, and I find it terrifying for that reason.
And I knew you were going to say that. The elderly community is already a marginalized community. But think about the fact if you are LGBT or even like the worst, transgender, they're probably the most disenfranchised. I myself am openly gay. Say 30 years from now, I've been in a relationship for a couple decades and this bill wasn't in place, it would deny my partner the ability to come and visit me.
You're skirting the point that I'm making, which is this bill criminalizes speech. If you use the wrong word, you can be put in jail. That is grotesque. Why in the world would you, as an American who once wore the uniform, support a bill that would criminalize speech?
Because elder abuse is inherently wrong. And I will read the bill. It says,
no, slow down. Speech is not abuse.
No, I'm talking about abuse. This is, understand this, misusing someone's pronoun is abuse. I follow the alt-right blogs where they call Michelle Obama a man. That is abusive.
Should they go to jail for that?
Should not be accepted.
Should they go to jail for that?
But if it's done in a medical thing, what constituted, hold on, let me what constituted, Tucker, is prolonged, continuous, intentional abuse by a healthcare provider. That is abuse. That should be criminal.
what it should be criminal. Okay, what about thinking it? What if I have unpleasant thoughts about you and you could somehow find out I had them? Should I go to jail too? Is that
No,
used
that's
as well?
human nature.
Oh,
That's
it's
human nature. But
oh, how many times would I have to misuse a pronoun before I went to prison?
it has to be, I already gave you the 3 criteria: prolonged, continuous, intentional abuse by a healthcare provider. Okay, there has to be a history of it.
Let's stop using euphemisms here and just get to the core facts. How many times did I have to misuse a pronoun before the police came, handcuffed me, and sent me to a prison cell?
It's not just a pronoun. Like I said, you're cherry picking. This also
cherry
is
picking. That's what it does. Lots of things. No, but the bill says a lot of things. But I'm specific. Yes. No, but it also says what I'm saying. It says. I'm not making this up. So it says a lot of things. Sure, but what I care about is the criminalization of speech. And I'm asking you a very simple question: how many times do I need to use the wrong pronoun before police with guns show up at my house and handcuff me and deprive me of my freedom and throw me in a prison cell? How many times? 4 times? 5 times? How many times?
That has not been, I posted the entire bill on my Twitter at Robin Biro. You can read the entire bill. It does not say a specific number.
You're dodging it. You're dodging it. There are a lot of things that I don't like to hear. People call me names. I find it abusive. I have mental anguish as a result, let's say. Should they go to jail for that?
If they are your healthcare provider and they do it intentionally to mentally abuse you, and it's stated on the wall in the Healthcare Bill of Rights, yes.
Okay, you guys could hear that okay?
I could see it.
Yes, indeed.
All right. The audio was really what was important. There really wasn't much to see there. I just want to make sure everybody could hear it. So I want to give full credit to Bering on that one. I do like this guy's channel. I like his commentary. Again, he's pretty salty, so if you're not used to some very salty language, you know, if you're triggered, trigger warning. Okay. So there it is, guys. California has actually passed the bill.
You know,
I'm sorry. It was the environmental bill. I'm still screen sharing. It was this environmental bill that was going to be passed, and apparently this article says it has passed. That's the environmental justice bill in California. This other bill that Bering presented is a bill that, as far as I know, has not passed.
Well, what really gets to me is that they are trying to make people responsible for how people listening to them respond. Now, that is utter absurdity. I think I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I am responsible for how I feel about what you are saying.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I choose how I feel by what I think about and how I think about what I think about. So you could call me an ugly slob, and my responsibility is to choose how I think about that.
That's right. We're all responsible for how we act and react.
Exactly. I am responsible for my behavior and my own feelings.
That's right. Rich,
and so is everyone else responsible for theirs.
How do you feel about this, Rich? How do you feel about free speech going in the toilet these days in every avenue, online, and now being passed into legislation? I mean, it's one thing to shut down YouTube channels and to censor free speech online in the way that Google and YouTube have been doing it, but it's something entirely different to pass a law making it literally criminal to use the wrong fucking pronoun.
Yeah. Well, it's an attack on the Constitution, of course, and to me, the Constitution really is brilliantly written by very educated people who had put together a nation and a system that they best decided would work. And so I think this is just a part of breaking apart that Constitution. The people who deep state, let's say, that's the biggest obstacle they have, is the Constitution of the United States. And so they're just taking it apart. you know, whether it's the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, you know, it's the politically correct agenda is really directed at taking apart the Constitution. So that's what I think.
Well, I do agree that the Constitution was written by some very well-educated slave owners.
Well,
yes, I threw
so
in my own little caveat there. I just wanted to.
Okay, that's fine. But do you say we should do away with it? And then if you do, then you're with these other people you might as well be with.
No. Well, the principles of the Constitution, I'm for. Okay. But
that's right.
That's
all they wrote down is principles.
As our friend Blue Blood Guitar just said in the chat room, the Constitution is toilet paper. I think he was making a reference to what George Bush said.
He may as well be on the side of these deceivers who are putting on these hoaxes, because this is really what it's about. Either you support the Constitution or you don't. If you don't, then you have given over to the other side, let's say. And I'm going to stick. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I do agree that in the principles of the Constitution, but from what I've seen, it certainly seems that the powers that should not be certainly have no respect for it and have not been following it, and at every opportunity try their very best to nullify it. And now they're working very diligently to nullify it legally.
Right. So we have to keep in mind, though, that Constitution belongs to the people. It belongs to the people. It does not belong to the government. It starts off really clear.
Well, it was written by some very aristocratic people.
Well, hold on a second. It starts off really clear. We the people, and it makes no bones about it.
Can I make a point there?
Go ahead.
Okay, it starts with we, the capital People.
It starts off. Yeah. Okay.
That capital P is talking about the elite,
the aristocratic, wealthy, land-owning, slave-owning Freemasons who wrote it.
Exactly. If it had not been capitalized, it would mean everyone.
Because back then, when it was written, it didn't include women or black people.
Nope. Did not include them.
It did not include women. It did not include black people or Asians or Irish.
And I might point out that in 1871, all of the Bill of Rights and the amendments were thrown out. They didn't tell us, of course, but when the United States became a corporation, it did not include the Bill of Rights. They are not applicable any longer.
Okay, so let's just throw away the Constitution that we're saying.
Well, I think that's actually a good thing, because you see,
perhaps we should start with something better that's completely inclusive.
Yes.
You know what? We don't have the wisdom or the knowledge that the people who we just don't have it.
Oh, I disagree.
I would disagree with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I don't know. Did you watch my most recent video, right?
I did. I did watch it.
You didn't?
I did watch it.
You did watch it. Okay. See, I am very much against any top-down control mind system, simply because it will always, eventually, sooner or later, promote psychopaths into control.
Psychopaths are always going to try and go into control. That's why I
understand that, but you've got to understand that I present in my piece, there is no handle to grasp for control. It gives everyone personal control over themselves.
No, there is a handle. The Constitution.
What sort of handle?
Is the handle.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have the Constitution, if you don't consent to it, if you don't consent to any of that, everybody is not consenting to that, but consenting only to the 3 laws of ethics and problems, no laws, no enforcement, but problems, there really isn't a handle for psychopaths to get into control.
Sure there is. They'll find it.
Well, Amy and I have gone round and round about this. For the most part, her idea, I think, is a good idea. And the part that we go round and round about is a part that I think you and I might agree on, Rich, is that there is going to always be some avenue that a psychopath or those who would wish to control others, there are still avenues for which to gain power, even in the system that Amy. Now removing money and
want somebody to put forth an explanation of how that would work. I've been waiting. Nobody has been able to do that. You know, just saying, well, there's got to be some way doesn't cut it with me. I want, well, what if somebody did this, that, and the other thing? Okay? And laid it out. Then maybe I could say, well, I see your point. But just saying, oh, well, somebody will figure out something. Oh, I have combed through that for a decade, trying to figure out how anyone can do more than get a small group of people to follow them because of their charisma. But if you've got the laws of ethics, if the group starts behaving unethically, there will be plenty of people who will not allow it to continue.
Is that true? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I do, because
look, we have a constitution.
If somebody murders somebody under my system, there's going to be a lot of people who care about that, and they're going to solve the problem that murdering somebody created.
Okay, and how are they going to solve the problem?
Well, first of all, they would incarcerate the individual that did it.
not necessarily, Amy. I mean,
well,
you make it you oversimplify on some of the examples that you and I have argued over in the example you're giving right now. You know, if somebody gets murdered, obviously the murderer is not going to hang around and allow himself to be captured by the townspeople with pitchforks and torches. So now we need a system with investigators who can track the guy down.
No, we don't need.
You know, it turns into a system of vigilante justice.
Well, not really vigilante justice, but people who are solving problems. And if there's a problem, we need to investigate who did this.
Well,
let's go into investigation. People will investigate.
Well, okay, Amy, that's fair enough, and I do understand the point you're coming from, but on the grand scale, there are a lot of crimes, a lot of murders. And
well, yes, but
look, when I say justice system, you understand I use that term very loosely, but the justice system currently can't even keep up. They don't have the resources to investigate all the murders that are happening now. So how would individual people...
Aaron, first of all, you have to understand that under my system, there is virtually no motivation to murder. There is no motivation to steal. There is no motivation to defraud.
All right.
You take out the motivation and you're going to have
fair enough.
Very rare occasion that this happens at all, and it will get a lot of attention and people will start looking into it and finding out what happened and who did it and how they can accomplish removing that individual from social circulation.
All right, fair enough. You are referring to your system, which is the abundance paradigm. The paradigm where there is an abundance of anything and everything that anybody could want. So if the system you're talking about is fully implemented, nobody would want for anything. There would be no need to run around and steal things from people, for instance.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. All right.
So you've got to take that into account. You're not going to have the numbers of problems that we presently
All right.
have in this scarcity paradigm.
Okay, the scarcity paradigm versus the abundance paradigm, that's a big deal, and that's a big difference. And a lot of things would change. I agree.
Yes.
All right.
You know,
Let's try to get back on
Yes,
our topic
yes.
here. As much as I love going around with you, Amy, we could do this until the cows come home.
yes, we
Trying to
could.
hash out this system of yours.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want
well,
to
I
talk
take it
about. I want to talk about the mystery girl.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Before we do that, I have one more thing I want to show you guys, and then I'll be happy to move on to our main topic with Rich this evening. There is, let's see, where did it go? I thought I had it pulled up. Now I have to pull up another one here. There's a channel that I want to highlight. It's called Fleckus Talks. ECCAS Talks.
Can you drop that in the chat?
Yeah, as soon as I get it pulled up here. Am I still screen sharing, by the way? I should be.
Well, yeah, you're
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
sharing, hun, but
Okay.
you know, people in the chat just see Rich.
Okay. Well, this is a channel called Fleckus, FLECCAS, Fleckus Talks, for anybody that wants to check that out. Basically, this is a guy who goes out on the street and he talks to protesters. Okay, this guy's channel is it's really good. Okay, and he highlights again and again and again and again and again and again how utterly retarded these protesters are. Anything from Trump protesters to anti-Trump protesters to Antifa. And in this case, I want to highlight a video. I just want to play about 3 or 4 minutes of this particular video. And this is only a small example of what you'll find on this guy's channel. There's tons and tons and tons. If you want to get your finger on the pulse of the people on the street who are engaged in these protests, check this guy's channel out. It's pretty amazing. Your jaw may be on the floor, so you might want a pillow under your jaw, because some of the things that come out of these protesters' mouths, most of it is garbage, but some of it is just fucking astounding. So just give this a listen for a few minutes here.
Hey guys, it's Fleckus. This week on Fleckus Talks, we're at Hollywood Boulevard, Walk of Fame, protecting Donald Trump's star from liberal protest.
And by the way, this particular video on Fleckus Talks is Animal Rights Activists Bark About Trump. Okay, so that's the title of this video for anyone who wants to check it out. Listen to this.
Protesters trying to dog poop on it.
There's no excuse for animal abuse.
What does your sign say?
My sign says, life is like a box of deplorables. You never know who you're going to get. Forrest Trump.
What does that mean?
It means that he's deplorable and he's against all humans and animals.
Why is bringing dogs here to poop on his star the answer?
No, not poop on his star.
So the Facebook group said, you support Donald Trump or no? No. Okay, why are you against Trump?
Because he's an evil dictator.
What do you think his most evil characteristics are?
He's a capitalist.
Okay, so are you a socialist?
I'm a communist.
Communist. Okay. Where
Did you hear that?
communism worked?
It's kind of worked in America in a way back in the day. No? We need to be fighting for those that are most offensive, and that is our non-human companions. Until every animal is free, war will never stop. Until every animal is free.
Free, like set
Total
free?
animal liberation. I'm here protesting that Donald Trump has made it so the public cannot look up animal abusers in this country, and that people who stand for animal rights are not able to look up other animal abusers.
What did she say that Donald Trump did what?
And his 2 sons are trophy hunters. Yes, and they're wiping off endangered species off this planet.
Snake photos. Aki.
He's the first president in like 145 years to not have a dog companion. I mean, I'm not saying that people that don't like dogs are bad people, but I'm just saying it's something like caring towards animals is a good trait to have in a human. You know,
He's got a lot on his plate. Having a dog, and that's a lot. I mean, dogs are big responsibility.
he's taken off.
What about the jobs he's created in the first few days he's been in office?
or that it's really scary. He hates animals. Human rights are animal rights because humans are animals. If you fight for human rights and you don't fight for animal rights, you're being a speciesist. And
A speciesist.
Speciesist. That makes sense. The economy's gotten a lot better since he's been in office. Illegal immigration's gone down. Do you think that there's good parts of Trump's policies?
If you look at it that way, that's sure. But I don't know. I don't follow politics.
I don't follow politics.
I hate Trump.
You hate Trump?
I don't like Trump.
But you are representing something bigger than yourself. You're Pepe Le Pew.
He made this happen so we cannot look up animal abuse in our country.
That information came off the site for a legal reason. It was a privacy issue. It had nothing to do with changing policy.
But as American citizens, we should be able to look up animal abusers in this country.
Information is going to go back up as soon as the legal issue is settled.
Does not matter. He supports animal abuse.
That's the kind of animal abuse we're trying to fight against, and that's the kind of animal abuse that he thinks should be private information because those individuals deserve their privacy.
Who did you vote for?
I didn't vote.
His wife wears fur. His wife has a closet full of blood and wears it. She wears fur. That's supporting animal abuse.
That's animal abuse in all of its forms. All of its forms. He was
animal abuse.
14.
There's no excuse for animal abuse. There's no.
You take it easy. You put yourself behind me.
Relax. Whoa, chill out. Brody, relax.
Who'd you vote for? Who'd you vote for?
Hold on. I didn't vote.
Those people's information should not be private. Animal abusers' information should not be private.
But they're like settling the legal issue. Nothing's changed. It's the policy's the same. They're settling the legal issue, and the information will be back up as soon as it can be.
Animals feel fear. Animals love their children. Just like us.
I mean, what do you think? Bill Clinton, that's a bad picture to put up. It's a bad example. He's a
I didn't vote for Bill Clinton.
Neither did I.
don't like the Democrats either. Y'all just win.
This is someone else's sign that I'm holding for them.
Okay. It's someone else's sign that she's holding.
We were protesting against Trump and the fact that he abuses animals. So
Donald Trump.
Michael Trump.
Hashtag Trump.
Why?
Because,
Come on, I got you.
he's racist, bro.
Why is he racist? What did he do?
What do you mean, why is he racist?
What's the racist thing he did?
He's getting rid of everybody. He's trying to deport. Yeah, he's trying to build walls up. Like, come on.
Her sign. It's not even her sign.
How about the people here in the USA that literally can't close their back doors because the poop runoff from pig slaughterhouses nearby gets sprayed into their houses? But I bet you don't care about them because they're usually environmentally disadvantaged by racism.
There's poop splattering into people's houses?
You hear that? Okay, that's enough of that. Fleckus Talk is good stuff, man. I just want to highlight that channel and give you a sense of what some of these protesters, and honestly, this wasn't Antifa, but as silly as it is, it's animal rights activists are barking about Donald Trump. I don't even know what to say anymore. And look, we know that a lot of these protests, maybe not this one, maybe so, I don't know. We know a lot of these protests are paid.
Yes.
Protest.
Yes.
They're bussed in, the people are bussed in.
Yep.
You know that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We're well versed on the on the paid protesters and the crisis solutions and crisis cast and
it's obvious they're not protesting anything. They're just there to make noise. Really, they're just there to earn their dollar and making noise and making a scene.
Well,
and to show that there's a lot of division in this nation.
A couple of things that were said by some of the people here. One person said, "I don't follow politics," which is to me that's a real smack. It's a face plant. Palm to the face. You don't follow politics, and yet you're so political that you have to grab a sign and go be active. Because that's what protesting is. It's political activism. Right? She's out there talking shit about Donald Trump, but she doesn't follow politics.
Yeah, how can anybody talk crap about a politician when they don't follow politics? It's like
they put their own foot in their own mouths. And then he asked several people, "Who'd you vote for?" And everyone says, "I didn't vote."
Yeah, well, I didn't vote either. But
well, to be fair, I didn't vote, and I won't vote. I'm not going to participate in a corrupt, rigged system.
yes, I will not register to vote, because anytime you register anything, you are giving whatever you're registering to the king, state, rulers, whatever.
Correct. That's correct.
And in the case of registering to vote, you are giving your sovereignty, yourself, to the state in exchange for the privilege of wasting time in a booth. And once you have given yourself to them, they then can do to and with you as they choose. Like spray your air, fluoridate your water, pump your food system with GMOs and Roundup and other crap.
That's right.
So, yeah, big problem, that registering to vote.
Well, given how corrupt the system is and how completely rigged our voting system is, I got better things to do with my time, like, for instance, stay home and stab myself in the face with hot knives.
Yes.
A lot more productive that way.
Yep. So anyway, I want to get on to the mystery girl. I do.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sharing now. Here, see, here's the problem, Amy. I'm going to have to get. See, I don't know if this is even going to work. What we should do is get Rich to do the screen share, since Ian has him highlighted, so that everybody can see what we're talking about.
Yes.
That's what we should do. All right. So I am going to undo my screen share. And Rich, since we spoke before the show, you should be.
I should be well versed in this by now, right?
Well, I don't know about well versed, but at least you should
be an expert. So, well, let me try run this little video that I sent to Amy. I don't know if you saw it or not, Aaron. You see it? Let me try run this video.
You don't have a whole lot of content on your channel, and I was able to check out 3 or 4 or 5 or most of your videos. I don't know how many you have exactly. Let me have a look here. I did bother checking out several of your videos in the last week. I haven't watched them all. A lot of them are mirrors. Many of them I have seen.
Oh yeah, a lot of mirrors there.
So yeah, let's go ahead. Okay, so we are talking about the Pulse nightclub shooting, which everyone on this panel and probably everyone listening is already familiar with as being a complete and total hoax. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It is the gift that keeps on giving, and they won't let it go either. You know, the people who
no, they keep pretending like it's real.
Yeah, they keep pretending like it's real. It's incredible. They won't, so we play too.
I knew the Pulse shooting was fake from the first 10 or 20 seconds of news coverage.
Yep.
The first thing they said was 300 people in the nightclub, and then they showed the aerial helicopter footage, and there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 cars in the parking lot.
I don't even think it made 5. I think there was 3. But
yeah. I
know. You look at that going, where are all the cars?
I'm a musician, and I used to play out all the time. I know what it looks like when a club is full. I know what the parking lot is full. I know the street all the way up and down the road has got cars lining the road when the club has got a packed house. This is a tiny little nightclub. They said, if I'm not mistaken, they did say, what was it, 300 people?
300. That's what they said, 300.
Okay, well, 300 people is a lot of fucking cars, and there were no cars.
No. Yep, that was one clue. I looked at that parking lot going,
yeah, that's bullshit. Red flag number 1. Well, it should be more like bullshit. Red flag number 1 is anything the news has to say.
Yes.
But yeah,
exactly.
Every
Yeah,
time
that-
they say,
yeah, the
our
parking lot
sports
was a
are-
dead giveaway. Go, hang on, let me get back to the other tab. Yeah.
And then there's Norman Cassiano.
Norman
Yes,
Cassiano.
I was shot with these bullets that gelatinized your innards yesterday, but I'm out of the hospital. No surgeries needed.
Yeah.
No,
The doctor said I can leave tomorrow.
Oh God.
All right, go ahead, Rich. You're sharing. Go ahead.
So it said, do I see a screen share? Do I?
Yeah.
I think
You're sharing right now.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna just pull this up.
Yep. Go full screen. Yep.
And play it.
Go ahead.
And then we can comment on this as we go along. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
We can all comment. Anybody wants to get in. So just to. So this is just a couple of minutes long.
No problem.
And this is the.
That's Chris Hansen looking right at the camera right there.
Yeah, that's good old Chris Hansen, the world's biggest liar, or I don't know, maybe just bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the guy who had a drink in his hand, who made it out of the club, picked somebody up off of the floor of the club, threw him over his shoulder, stepped over dead bodies.
Right.
All the way out, all the way across the street, and didn't spill his drink.
That's right.
Yes.
And look, you didn't even get any on his shirt there. So
yeah, I got a video on this character.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the thing that we're talking about. This is the mystery girl. You see my cursor?
Yep.
Yeah, that's her. So is she a mannequin? That's the big question.
So what's interesting about this particular girl here is that she is not on any list. She hasn't been named, right?
Right.
Nope.
Right.
So nobody knows who this chick is.
That's right. She has not named in the longer version of this, which is called Mystery Girl. I point that out from the beginning, right?
Yep.
And so that's what you see. I've written here. The woman here is being reported a shooting victim, and the gunshot wound is allegedly to her arm. So that allegedness all comes from this Chris Hansen, who tells the story about how he saved her and how he rescued her and how he put her on his lap.
Yep.
And comforted her until the paramedics came. But you see, the paramedics have not made it there yet, and
so they're taking her back to the Pulse. Yes.
They are taking her back to the Pulse. That's right.
That just cracks me up.
Yeah, this is the procession that we've
there's
all
the Pulse
seen.
right here.
Yep, there's the Pulse.
Right here. So.
Oh, look, is that an eyeball on the back of that white hat right there?
Oh, let's take a look.
I never noticed that one. It's funny when you watch something 100 times, you see something that you...
Oh, this right here.
Yeah, the white guy, the white hat.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell what that is.
Yeah, let it play. Look at it. There it is. Oh, okay. Sorry, it was blurry. My bad.
No,
but
that's
it does have the the lines of an eyeball. You know.
What's it say there? Life what?
Lifeguard. I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, so these people in Orlando, they don't have gurneys.
No, apparently not.
Get pedestrians off the street to take their shooting victims away.
Yep. Or back to where they were shot.
Back to where they were shot. Exactly.
Yes.
So,
oh God.
there's a Pulse right there. Can't miss it.
Pull your pants up, Chris.
Yeah, really.
Okay. Okay, so yes. As much as suggests she's a mannequin, so okay, seen that enough. And I'm just gonna play for a second, okay? Lack of body movement and unchanged facial expression suggests that this is not a living person, especially a person with a painful gunshot wound to the arm. She looked like she's in pain too.
No, they're I've watched this video a number of times, and every time I look at her, I mean, to have not a twitch on that face. I mean, not even a slight. I mean, the eyes don't move, the cheeks don't move, the lips don't move. There's no grimacing, you know. I mean, if I was in pain and being dragged around like that, believe me, I'd be grimacing.
Yes. Okay.
That's a completely expressionless face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Utterly expressionless without even blinking. She doesn't blink.
Nope.
And
Not a blink.
Her eyes are unusually open. They're open a little wider than they should be. And
yep.
If you just compare it to the eyeballs of the people carrying her.
Yeah. Her eyes are big and wide and open. Not normal eyes.
And no blood. So this girl was shot in the arm. Why is she being carried by 5 people?
And no blood. That's a good point. That's a really good.
Not a single drop of blood anywhere.
So if she was shot in the arm, why is she being carried by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people?
Yeah. Okay, so to point out the way that she is being carried.
Yep.
Yes, that she's lighter and more rigid than